Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Salted Hash. My name is Steve Reagan. I'm the senior staff writer at CSO Online. Today, we're going to talk about some phishing stuff that's going on lately. This isn't the run-of-the-mill stuff. This is kind of like a personal attachment to these emails because all of them have either targeted me or my coworkers. So these aren't phishing campaigns that you've seen in the headlines. These are the ones that we catch in-house. And I just wanted to show them off to you so you can see the kind of basics that are out there. And, you know, I want to stress that while some of these emails I'm going to show you look really generic, garbage, in fact, don't discount them. The thing is, even though they're written towards the lowest common denominator, somebody working at a fast clip or not paying attention could easily fall for these, especially once they click a link and you see the landing pages. So the first email you see here is actually a message that was sent on October 27th to my boss. Amy is the executive editor of both CSO and CIO. And what happened was she got this random email. She recognized it for what it was and sent it off to me so that I could play with it because I kind of collect these things. And I just want you to look at the message real quick. So the complete your password request subject matter, you know, it's coming from an account called Security Notice. It's directed to Amy. But if you look there, it says Dear Editor. And the email address it was sent to was, I think it's editor@CIO. I'd have to check. But what this tells you is they've scraped the website for contact information and basic email address. And then they blasted off this. So what you're not seeing in this particular email, something I've removed, is the fact that this was sent from a compromised company. There is a legitimate company on the East Coast of the United States that has been compromised, and that compromised account was used to send this email to us. It's a typical BEC attack, business email compromise. And these types of attacks are very common. They have been gaining in popularity over the last couple of years, and I think it was the FBI said that like 1.5 billion in losses were attributed to BEC compromise, and this is just one example. So let's say Amy fell for this trick and she clicked on the link in the message. What happens is that she's going to be directed to a landing page that looks exactly like this. Now, this landing page, when it loads up in your browser, looks nice and fancy, really official. It's got, you know, a URL string at the top that comes off as, you know, legitimate just because there's so many random characters that are strung through it. But the thing is, the domain itself is actually a second victim. So it's not the victim that sent the email. It's a different victim who's had their web server compromised. And this phishing page is being hosted in a subdirectory on that domain. Now, it uses HTTPS, but that doesn't mean anything in this case because it's still not the official Microsoft landing page. But if you were to enter your password and go ahead and submit on this landing page there, what would happen is she would be forwarded, she being Amy, would have been forwarded to the legitimate Microsoft portal, and the criminal behind this attack would have just compromised their credentials. So another example is one that happened recently. This particular email targeted me, and if you look there, it comes from the email security team. You know, it's a account security alert. And once again, this is coming to an address that I maintain that really isn't used anymore. But I still get email at it. And in this particular case, what they're wanting to do is steal my credentials again. So I was intrigued by this message because this particular template came to me and a few other contacts of mine all on the same day. In fact, two of us were talking on Twitter recently, and we got this particular email within minutes of each other. But we work for completely separate entities. We are not related to each other via, you know, email at all. So his company and my company got it, and then another guy's company got the same message within minutes of each other. So what happens is, you know, again, a very generic looking kit, but if you're not paying attention, it's entirely possible that somebody might click on this. Now, in this particular image, if you see there, I've highlighted that the address from the Verify Now box is not an IDG domain in my case. So I know it's not a company email. I know this is fake from the get-go. But if you were to click on it, what you see is a very basic email template. Like, this is the lowest common denominator of templates. But to give it a little bit of urgency, if you look there in the lower right corner, you see that there's a countdown. Now, I sat and watched this thing go all the way down to 0. Absolutely nothing happens. And also, if you click either one of the buttons there, the stop this action now or ignore the warning, this is what you'll see. It's just a pop-up box. And this particular pop-up box, when it comes up, is just another confirmation form. Again, the point of this particular attack is just to harvest my Outlook credentials. It's not to drop malware or anything like that. And this form will respond no matter what you give it. There is no forwarding on this end. It's not going to pass me over to actual Microsoft or anything. In fact, the script itself is kind of broken because instead of carrying over the variable for the victim's email address, when you put a password in and hit continue, this is what you see, and it's action taken. But if you notice, it's actually missing my my email token. So what I did was I dug around on the web, did some searching, and I actually found, the hosted area for this particular script. And the criminal behind it, he doesn't secure his things very well. So this is the form part of the phishing attack that came after me. This is what targeted me. And what the source code does is it pulls up the IP address information depending on geolocation. So when the form is submitted, he'll know where in the world I am. And then, of course, you see the basic, type of message construction format. Right here, Thug Life Legend is what he wants to be known as, apparently. But all of the harvested credentials, all the compromised accounts are being sent to Gmail. Before anybody asks, yeah, I did report the account, but he's using Gmail as a drop. And I don't know, it's very amateurish, but this is just one example of some of the stuff I've seen. Like another message I got recently actually comes with a choice in the body itself. It's warning me that my inbox is about to be deleted and, my password has been compromised. So I can continue to remove the email message or I can cancel the removal. Either way, it takes me to a landing page, which once again wants my Outlook credentials and once again, forwards them over to an attacker. The interesting thing is this particular email was sent to me twice. I got it once on the 24th and then I got it again on the 26th. And when I say the exact same email, I mean the same message, the same template. It came from the same compromised company. It has the same text in the Microsoft Office part. So you've got the little fancy O up there. I know there's a term for that and I forgot it. But the point being is this exact message came to me twice. So either somebody's not scrubbing their list or they're just blasting everyone out. Another one is actually one of the messages that first got me really interested in who was coming after the CXO domain was because this particular message comes from configuration @ and the @ address is actually the default FQDN for a VPN. And what it is basically it's like getting a mail from the email daemon itself. But this particular server is completely compromised. There are several websites on it. All of them are hosting phishing pages. It's been linked to a number of different Outlook attacks this year alone. But this particular email, again, it's telling me to take action or my account's going to be deleted. And when you click on the message, it's just a basic generic loading page. And I think what's interesting is some of these loading pages, they don't look like the actual Outlook page. A lot of companies use custom branded things. And, in this case, attacks like this will fail on that front. That visual cue alone will set off red flags. And another thing that I noticed is a lot of times the criminals themselves are somehow keeping track of who's who. I recently got an email from an account that I had ran down, confirmed it was phishing and everything like this. Now, what had happened was that same account emailed me like a week later and said, we haven't heard from you. You need to take action. So they're following up in some cases, which is just bizarre, but I have to wonder if it works. So the bottom line, and I guess the point of me showing you all of this stuff with the phishing, is the fact that while these are generic looking attacks, they're still real attacks, and they are really working. They compromised, by my count, at least 30 different companies just this month alone. And those are the companies that have emailed me. I have no idea how far that reach goes, but if you think about it, that's 30 victims, and this is the quality of the phishing attack. We're not talking advanced scripting. We're not talking clever writing or anything like that. We're talking pretty basic stuff, and it's working. The only way to combat stuff like this thoroughly is to clue your people in, not just with awareness training, but also give them the kind of background as to why a particular process or policy exists. To give you an example, do your employees know what an actual email from IT would look like? Not just, like the formatting or wording, but do they know what one would look like? Who's in IT? Do they know, like, is there a special signature? Could there be a special signature? Why not? Why not give your employees the clue that unless you see this at the bottom of the email, you know it's not real, because this will always be there. Do you address employees by their first and last name? Do you just use first name? These little things should be a part of your awareness program. And if they're not, that's why generic messages like this work. One of the things in our training that I am allowed to talk about is the fact that we have a standard process for contacting IT and being contacted by IT. Anything outside of that norm is fake. So that any deviation from that policy literally is a red flag for us, and that's what we're trained on. So this is why a lot of these basic campaigns, they really fall out of scope for us, because I know for a fact that if I see anything addressed the way that some of these emails were, it's not to me. It's fake, because that's not how IT will call me. And that is a valid point. A lot of times for serious matters, IT would never send an email. They would actually call us. If there was something serious and important going on, I could probably expect a phone call. But that's neither here nor there on this side of thing. My point being is just go with the awareness training, tailor it to the users and these types of threats. Maybe we can put a stop to them, but not anytime soon. Phishing's going to be around forever because it works, but hopefully we can make some sort of small dent. Anyway, I just thought you'd like to keep up to breast on what we're seeing here with some phishing stuff in my office. Let me know if you've got anything similar. I'd love to hear your stories. Feel free to reach out to me either on Twitter or directly via email. My contact information is public. My name's Steve Reagan. This is Salted Hash. We'll talk to you soon.